It's the Smart Driving Cars podcast. Thank you for spending time with us once again. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the faculty chair of autonomous vehicle engineering at Princeton University and co-author of the new book, The Real Case for Driverless Mobility, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alain.
Hey, good morning, Fred. And, if we're selling stuff, which I guess now the audience realize we're selling stuff, the book, we might as well also start selling, the summit, because also the chairperson or whatever you want to put me as, the person putting it together, yet another sixth smart driving cars summit at Princeton, May 29th through 31st. So I guess since everything that we watch these days or listen to these days has advertising, we might as well advertise to grueling. Sorry, Fred. Sorry, audience.
Well, it's worthwhile information. It's all part
Absolutely.
of smart driving cars.
Yeah, we think the book is good, of course, and of course the summit, been putting together the program and so on, and the lineup of people and whatever, and the topics. And again, it should be a really good 2 days. I can't wait to participate.
Excellent, Alain. Well, on top in the latest Smart Driving Cars newsletter, a self-driving Waymo vehicle paid a visit to the University of Buffalo and Professor Stephen Still, along with his class. You're turning green.
Green with envy. Boy, am I jealous. Steve, hey, congratulations for getting the come. I guess, I've been trying for years, although I do have one of my former students that comes into my class every year and does that very well, and we're very happy to have him. But my interactions with Waymo, unfortunately, have not gone the best in the past. Largely my fault, I guess. Although I do want to say a few things with respect to Waymo. I think I've always applauded their what they've done in the realm of safety and their approach to safety with driverless vehicles. And I think I've been consistent. Hopefully, I've been consistent. That, my goodness, it's no, I can't imagine anyone doing a better job than what they've done. It's phenomenal. It's been since 2009, so it's going on 15 years of being, absolutely superbly focused on making sure that they're safe. So, kudos to them on that. And certainly it would be nice. Love to have them at the summit come and tell us how they've done that and say how they're going to do more on the safety end of it. So absolutely, I don't think anybody
some of the
else.
recent headlines are they're gotten approval to operate in Los Angeles now too, right?
Right, they've gotten approval to operate in Los Angeles, and they deserve that approval. My only ask of them is that what they offer it to and how they offer it, and the business plan associated with it. I think a long time ago we said they passed the proof of technology test. The issue is now to do a proof of market, and also we need to do a proof of politics, I guess. But the proof of market is just so they end up being around and surviving, because and having be a sustainable business where the customer is actually sufficiently happy with what the customer is receiving to reach far enough down in their pocket to provide them with enough money so that they can continue to deliver the service, because this is a service delivery business, giving rides.
And as you've said many times, what you want are the customers who need a ride and are going to be using you on a regular basis.
Well, I mean, you can decide what kind of business you want to be. You certainly can be luxury business, in which only a few get to have you. And there are a lot of very wonderful luxury businesses, Patek Philippe, Ferragamo, Ferrari, and so on, and do very well. Wish I had some.
Well,
But then there are other
going to Buffalo for this purpose, that's an encouraging sign, I would think.
It's very encouraging because in fact, the encouraging part of it is that if you're really going there to see how well you work in snow, I mean, I guess, if somebody were to ask me, hey, you want to do snow, where do you go? I'd say, go to Vail or go to Buffalo or something like that, I guess. I don't know. That's, that's where they have the challenges. We are so
Even if it did hit 70 degrees in Buffalo in February this year.
I know. Well, I think it hit something like 40 degrees or 50 or something in Minneapolis. I spent 2 winters in Minneapolis. It never hit maybe 40 below. It hit 40 above. And yeah, so yes, of course we have these, but I guess to me the point is that we're so early in this process, even though they're 15 years in and so on. It would be nice to get a substantial amount of value out of these things before we get value everywhere. And so, to me, my view of how you create businesses is that the most important part of a business, you got to get started. That's always the toughest part. Everybody has visions of asymptotic reaches as time goes on, of being totally dominant and being, the best thing since sliced bread for everybody all the time, of course. But that's to me a very naive approach. I mean, what you try to do is, hey, how much good can you do early and earn some opportunity to be able to hang around until you're able to, understand the nuances and do the fixes that you need to do to really be, best thing since sliced bread for everyone. And in the end, nobody is. Nobody has been. Nobody has gotten the good housekeeping seal of approval from everybody. As we know, there are different strokes for different folks. Not to throw out all the cliches, but it's reality, and so and I think that that what it would be nice, and I think one of the things that was in the public release of Waymo's visit to Steve's class was the comment that Steve made, right? What did Steve say, Fred? Steve went out there and basically, said it almost better than I could say it. What we're looking at is a means to provide mobility to those that don't have it, he said, following his class. So I'm reading the announcement. Those with the physical ability and enough income to own a car already have mobility, and we know that. I mean, it may not be the best. We might have congestion. It certainly isn't as cheap as it could be or as inexpensive, and it's not as nice to the environment as it could be. But my goodness, talk about something after 100 plus years of development is market dominant, absolute market dominant for those that are at the wherewithal to be able to do it. But those with the physical ability and enough income to own a car already have mobility. What about older adults, low-income individuals, and those with physical and mental disabilities? He's quoted as saying, "This, what is most interesting to me, and apparently to Steve Still, also, is that you know, this technology has the opportunity to improve people's lives, to do things that the other technologies can't, haven't been able to. It's not that people haven't tried. My goodness, I've tried for 50 years. Total failure with the other stuff. Wanted to build PRT systems everywhere. Thought it was going to, you know, revolutionize mobility of cities. Man, I didn't know how bad I didn't have a chance. It was brutal what they did to us. Brutal, brutal, because, you know, you had to build the guideway for these things to go on. You know, even though the systems we designed for New Jersey, 250, 10,000 stations, 10,000 miles of guideway interconnecting. So it's basically walk access to a station between every point in New Jersey. What would building the guideway cost? I don't know. Trillion? More? Who knows? It's not the cost of building the guideway that's so expensive. What are you going to do? Get eminent domain to be able to build a physical thing? Are you kidding? How many, to do the proof of politics on that one would require $1 billion in and of itself, maybe 10 billion, an uncountable amount. How many, you know, community meetings would you have to go to, and so on? Oh my goodness, it was amazing that we even dreamed about it. So what has been, you know, the fundamental beauty of this mobility? Oh, we can maybe just use the infrastructure that exists. We've forgotten about, you know, the ask of the infrastructure that anybody makes, that even Waymo makes. Waymo makes no ask for infrastructure. They say they'll go map it themselves. Maybe, you know, at best, all you need to do is, you know, put some signs that people can read. They don't have to be electronic signs and cost money. That's just so our LiDARs can read it, or our gizmos. Just anything a person can read, we'll be able to handle it. And put some paint on the road so that, you know, it organizes it a little bit. And we'll obey all the rules, and they have, in some sense, to their detriment, because it seems like society doesn't want to obey any of the rules. And so they've, you know, and they've been able to deal with that conflict. And that's a challenge. And that is a real proof of politics here, to address that challenge. But I think we can find a happy medium to that. At least we know what the two extremes are, and the two extremes, you know, one extremes in terms of the misbehavior of some, of few, very few, but the very few ruin it for the rest of us. Maybe I'm part of the very few. I shouldn't keep myself. I've certainly been there, but hopefully I'm not become old enough to realize that I don't want to be there, to that one extreme. And then the other extreme is just behaving to the rules. So we're not that far apart. Okay, I think we can negotiate that. And certainly, if you look at how Waymo's behaved and all that whole part, it's exemplar, perfect, beautiful, no complaint. Just wish that, you know, instead of, you know, focusing on going after you know, those that probably already have way too much mobility, or you could never have way too much, how are they going to go and compete with that? That's tough competition. You got to be really good to make those folks happy. I mean, you really do have to be Patek Philippe. You really do have to be Ferrari. You really do have to be Ferragamo. You can't be a knockoff. I tried. I'd go down the Canal Street and buy my Patek Philippe watches, even, you know, but I could see that it wasn't spelled right. I went to lunch with somebody once who had a real one. I was so embarrassed. because he knew mine was fake. I couldn't afford it.
Oh, you showed me a watch you got in China once, which was
Yeah, yeah. No, I always, whenever I go to Beijing, I go to the pearl store, and get all the knockoff. I'm so cheap. Sorry.
moving along, Alan.
Yeah.
And NVIDIA's GTC is coming up. Hot ticket runs from March 18th, 21st in San Jose. NVIDIA's flying high, and you're flying out there.
Yeah, yeah. Elizabeth and I are going. I can't wait. I just want to go to Jensen's talk. I mean, it's my goodness, what performance! Whoa. I mean, to be, I guess let's call it respected by Wall Street the way they've been respected. I think maybe yesterday some people did some profit taking or something like that. I don't know. I don't understand all that stuff. I buy high, sell low, so can talk to me. But yeah, and it I mean, it's just sort of one of those wonderful stories of a company that you know they were a computer gaming business. Wow. How do you end up being the company that in one day has the largest gain in market value of any company ever in a day? I mean, that's you can't have enough clickbait or spin or whatever or smoke and mirrors to do it. I mean, to do that, I think you have to be fundamentally solid. I mean, there are massive numbers of people that spend 16, 18 hours a day focused on those kinds of things. And man, for one day they came around and said, "Whoa, we've been assessing this thing not quite right. I guess I don't know."
Amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
The New York Times had a headline behind Apple's doomed car project, false starts and wrong turns. It says Apple burned more than $10 billion on the project, and the piece concludes it ultimately fizzled in large part, these are their words, because developing the software and algorithms for a car with autonomous driving features proved too difficult. Maybe you take issue a bit with that.
I take issue with that because I guess I don't believe that it is too difficult. I think Waymo is very close, if not already there, and has been there. And it, and I think that Cruise was there too. And the challenge of both of them again has been, okay, have this been maybe too enthused about putting it in places where again they didn't earn the respect that they deserved to have by them. And again, as with anything, any product that anybody makes, the consumer has to value it, else the consumer won't purchase it. This is a not must to have. This is a like to have. And for some, it could look really good, and they'd be really happy with it. And in fact, might deliver them an enormous win, so that they come back and do it again, do it again, do it again. People return to Starbucks, or at least the rest of my family does. I don't. They do. They'd love to go there every day. Why? Because what Starbucks is offering them is something that they say they get value out of, and therefore reach into their pockets, or maybe reach into my pocket. They have their own wherewithal, and do it. It's That's all business really is. And here, for some people, it is so darn difficult, so challenging to provide them mobility, which is a commodity that basically lets them be happy campers. And to do that, it has to be what we've termed since day one in transportation. It has to be demand responsive. It has to be from where they are to where they want to go at the time they want to go. It's it's not any more difficult than that. Now, we might do all kinds of things to say, hey, yo, come here, and hey, we're going to design this so you only have to go there, and do all kinds of things with land use, what da. But in the end, it's their response to the things that are available to them as to what they want to consume. And we are creatures of habit, absolutely. We tend to do many things repeatedly just out of habit. But then again, we tend to do other things too. And it's not constant in time. It's sometimes, not all times. And for some folks, it's this time, other folks, it's that time. So what you need is flexibility. You need a system that can basically turn on a dime. It could do this, or it could do that. It could go here, or it could go there. It could do da. And if you look at all the supposed systems we've had, that we've built, that we've designed, that technology has made available to us, we had to do an enormous evolution over more than 100 years, making a roadway system that basically allows those of us that have that wherewithal, both mentally, physically, and economically, to control a car, to be able to basically go almost from anywhere to anywhere and anywhere at any time. Oh, it's going to be congested, so we can't go there. Okay, well, but there are really no roads that go there, and therefore, if they get a Jeep, they will be able to go down a riverbed. Oh, okay, but I see it on TV. I can buy it. I can put a snorkel on it. Oh, great. But it's been able to respond to what we want. How many times did we say here? Sits there like a little puppy dog. Oh, use me and drive me to wherever you want to go. Beautiful. But we got to do it Home Depot style. Do it yourself. All of a sudden, really came out of the DARPA challenge. We realized, now getting close to 20 years ago, we'll have the 20th anniversary of the first one in the fall. Okay. You say, oh my goodness, we put enough so-called intelligence in a vehicle, it might be able to do it for us. That's what Waymo's been chasing. That's what GM's been chasing. And they actually did it. And Waymo's still doing it. And they did it. And, you would think not just the easy place of Chandler, Arizona, not that that's easy, but in a really hard place of San Francisco. And tried to do it, for people who are really demanding. And they came close. But they got caught. And I think it got caught because, well, some people really appreciated them. The other one said, well, okay, this is pretty neat. Yeah, it's It's an amusement ride. I don't know how they went. I got a cart. What do I need this? I can afford Uber Lyft. What? Plus, Uber Lyft has somebody who carry my bag for me and put it in the trunk. Chit chat with me as we're going if I want to chit chat. Leave me alone if I want to be left alone. Unfortunately, they really weren't better. And I think that, fundamentally, the biggest mistake they made was they kept, at least what it seemed to me from the outside, their big value proposition was safety. And I think what they failed to realize was that safety is a necessary condition for this to work, not a sufficient condition. And in mathematics, at least, there is an enormous difference between necessary conditions and sufficient conditions. And so they certainly achieved necessariness, but they felt that it was sufficient. And I don't think it's sufficient. And I don't think you can be good enough safety-wise for it to be sufficient. Sufficient to build a recurring business that has customers that say, yeah, I use you because your safety is so darn good compared to everybody else's. You're the winner. I think the perception of most, if not all, or essentially all of the mobility marketplaces, there are ways to get there that are sufficiently safe. And the Schumpeter, and I love Schumpeter. I got a copy of his book. I don't have one here. I finally got a physical copy of his book from 1946. That if you really want to be disruptive and you want people to choose you over the others, being just as good, okay, you're going to share the market at best. If you're really much better, let's call it NVIDIA style much better, guess what? You gain 252 big ones, really big ones, in one day. That's what disruptive is. That's how you get the market or demonstrate you're so darn good for whatever ways, boom. And I don't think safety has the opportunity to do that because most of the things out there are really, yes, they're unsafe. Yes, we kill 40,000. Yes, pedestrians die. Yes, bicyclists die. Yes, 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 yes. People use bicycles. People walk. People drive. Of course, we'd like it to be better, but that's not the disruptive thing that says, oh, instead of doing this, I'm going to go do that. What they have the opportunity to be disruptive at, which nobody else can do, flexibility. This thing can go do 24/7 mostly, or maybe only 27. The 2 peak hours, the heck with it. Let other people do it. We'll do it in the off peaks where do. And you have the opportunity for it to be inexpensive, affordable, and make money. I claim they have the opportunity to, Uber, Lyft, great rides. Divide the cost by 5. Now, if economics works, microeconomics works, and we look at supply-demand curves, and demand as a function of price, as you drop price in this market with this commodity, a lot of people, because of price, are excluded from mobility. I think, oh my goodness, if they start working that guy, then they become disruptive. And all of a sudden, if they are affordable and safe and flexible, I mean, you have a customer for life. Oversimplifying it, of course. And then if somebody says, hey, you guys shouldn't operate, or we're going to torch you, they're going to go, oh, no, you don't. I think. Why? Because you're doing a lot of good for them. It just, why, as Steve Still mentions, Dr. Steve Still. And Steve knows he built 2 great companies before he endowed the University of Buffalo transportation program and went back home to Buffalo and helped them. Okay. He knows what he's talking about. Anyway, I'm so jealous. But so proud of him. So proud of him. Love him dearly.
And hopefully he'll be at the conference
he
once
will
again.
He's been at past one, so he'll be there.
Motley Fool had a headline saying things have gone from bad to worse for GM's Cruise. That's not news, I suppose. And they say Tesla may benefit.
Yeah, maybe. I just would like to see General Motors back in there. They really did do a pretty darn good job. Boy, what they got battered on. I mean, compared to what other people do, the smoke and mirrors other people use, the behavior of other people, and one doesn't even have to get to the coming election. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Let's move on. I'm just getting myself in trouble.
Jalopnik has run a column headlined, "We've wasted nearly $50 billion on self-driving cars. Here's where that money should have gone." Spoiler alert, they're talking about rail modernization, it seems, in the article, and I'm not sure where their figures come from.
Well, whatever, more than 50 billion, I think, has been spent on this, but, whatever, pick a number. Wasted, I don't think so. Because actually, a lot of the work that was spent, trying to do the hard software on this thing is benefiting all this, now interest in AI. Jan LeCun was working on, driverless vehicles. All the work in image recognition and all that stuff, much of it motivated by trying to make this work. So there's been, out of all the money that's been spent, there's value that's been given to the economy and to the development of other technologies. So there's some of that. The other thing is, again, the opportunity with this mobility is the flexibility and the affordability. And rail's nice. It's not flexible. Okay, it's where it is, and it exists, and it really is pretty good. And to make it substantially better than what it is, we require much more than 50 billion. You can't do high-speed rail in the Northeast for 50 billion. Can you? My goodness, the tunnel in new tunnels into Manhattan are going to be close to 20. That's 2 tunnels. Are you kidding? So yes, you could have marginal improvements for others. I mean, where we are with other technologies is to make them substantially better than what they are would require vast amounts of money. Just vast. Why? Because everybody that's in it knows what the marginal cost of improvements are, and they're basically they're at the top. They've optimized that thing. If they had places to invest and so on that had return on investment, they'd be there. I mean, it was my pleasure to participate and help in the revitalization of the railroads in the Northeast, from 1975 to 2000. And the creation of Conrail and its sale and all that improvement and so on. We have railroads, at least the freight side, that work pretty well. New Jersey Transit Rail works pretty well. And, and we've had substantial investments recently in Amtrak. And Amtrak may, in fact, be starting to work really well. Or not really well, but at least well. I mean, it's tough to make it work. Just enormous. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's clickbait or something. I disagree.
And it's not doing too much to solve the day-to-day mobility problem that
Yeah,
so many people have a need
there
of.
is day to day, as Steve still pointed out. He pointed out so clear. What about older adults, low-income individuals, and those with physical and mental disabilities? What are we doing to improve their lives, to allow them to travel?
Finally, a little headline: a bill allowing self-driving cars and trucks is nearing final passage in Kentucky. This is happening, I guess, state by state around the country.
Yeah, I guess I think at some point we really do need to, revisit the freight movement piece and the goods movement piece. Somewhat related. One interesting thing, maybe I've been asleep. I just noticed that, when I buy things on Amazon, they offer me, at least, here in Central Jersey, the opportunity to have it delivered overnight between, I don't know what they say, midnight to 5 a.m. or something like that, but overnight as opposed to during the day, whatever day. I think it's brilliant that Amazon is doing that. I don't know how much of their, deliveries can in fact be done overnight, but my goodness, somebody in Amazon must have realized the productivity of delivering things at between midnight and 6 a.m. Let's take it. Must be in the Northeast so much more efficient than trying to do it during the day, just because of the traffic congestion that exists during the day. And guess what? If you do it at night, you actually relieve some of the traffic congestion during the day because your vehicles aren't out there competing and whatever and getting to do. I mean, somebody must have finally run the numbers, and Amazon said, "Whoa, you know, this is some low hanging fruit that's there for us to do it." Whether or not, and I don't think they then said, "Oh, we're not going to do this because we can't do it 100% of the time," and so on. Like some others have said that we can't offer service unless we can do it under all weather conditions or something. I doubt they said that. They said, "Oh my goodness, who we're going to be able to put this much stuff on it? Who knows what it must be?" 25% savings, 40. I mean, I imagine the numbers are great. I don't think it's 2 or 3. I think, there's a reason why garbage pickup in major cities is done, very early in the morning. Otherwise, and finally, they're saying, look, if we can deliver to you and you don't mind it, we'll do it then. Beautiful. Wonderful. Hey, do it. As far as I'm concerned, I don't care when you show up. But for some others, it's not possible. For whatever you can't get in, it's locked. Who knows what? Okay, but I don't know. Whoa, I must congratulations. And of course I goes I'm saying, look, if you really want to do automated delivery, then where should you do it first? Why battle it when there are revelers out there that might torch you? You don't want to do it then. Hey, how about from 2 to 5 in the morning? There's nobody out. Well, there's some people out there, but there's essentially nobody out there. And there's certainly the probability that there's a kid chasing the ball is extremely small, or someone riding a bicycle is extremely small. You still have to watch out for them. But my goodness, do it then. And even if you can only do 20% of what you're doing or 40% of what you're doing, quit thinking you have to solve everything. First of all, nothing solves everything. Secondly, do that and doing out there, doing it on them. Now, of course, my former student who's trying to develop, stuff from the last 50 feet, you've got to get it from the vehicle to wherever the package is supposed. That last 50 feet is non-trivial. And I sort of like his little elegant little robot that I think I put in last
Right.
smart driving cars, because trying to solve at least some of the last 50 feet problems. But again, you don't have to solve them all. Solve some. You know which customers these things will work at night. That is some subset of all your customers. I think it's a substantial subset. For them, do it. Make it easy on yourself. For the rest, yeah, you still have to. The human is the intelligence that we have, the dexterity, the flexibility we have, the pain that we are because whatever we need, there's always a downside. We are needy individuals, and so you got to serve the need.
And one of the things we need is for people to buy the new book,
Well,
the real case for driverless mobility. It's out now. And another reminder for folks to save the date for the 6th Smart Driving Car Summit at Princeton. Starts the evening of the 29th of May and goes through the 31st. And as you said, Alan, a really strong agenda is forming up
yeah,
here.
and in the newsletter, we've begun updating the site, and so as we release new other information, the site summit.princeton.edu, it'll be there. We don't have a registration page yet. We haven't quite figured out what the registration fee is going to be. We have a number of sponsors already. If you'd like to sponsor, we still have some things available. We are this thing's a go. We're going to have the welcoming reception in my house on the first evening, and then we'll have a banquet on Wednesday night, and then for at least some, we're having a gala Friday night. But otherwise, sort of a celebration gala. We need a celebration, like celebrations. But there's actually a lot of good news and an enormous amount of good things that have been going on. We're still very early on this thing. I mean, we've really only been working on this thing for 20 years. And that's not a long period of time, really. I mean, if you look at, when the things for the car started 1886, give or take, it was 08 when I think Henry Ford assembly line started. So even though we supposedly do things much more quickly today and so on, it takes time. You look at the time that the cell phone evolved from the You know, the original car phones. They were car phones. Why? Because they needed a truck. We could carry them because they were so big and heavy, not necessarily. They also needed power. You needed a V8 or something, have enough electricity. They needed power. They didn't have the battery, all that stuff. So they started car phones. And of course, that's the real value, because otherwise, geez, you should have enough of a long line on your Princess phone to be able to talk anywhere in your house. It was no longer attached on the wall with a crank. Ring a ring, plug a plug.
Or you can find your phone at the local Radio Shack stores.
Yeah, you can find it. Anyway, enjoy it. Anyway, enjoy it. Beginning of term break week here at Princeton, whatever.
Excellent.
And
Well,
we have a launch coming up, maybe, right?
another Starship.
Starship 3, maybe soon, March 14th, maybe. I'm suggesting March 20th, 6 days late. That's my over under on when the launch is.
Well, maybe Alan will be back out there. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
We want to remind everyone again that they can find us at smartdrivingcar.com. Also, wherever you turn to for podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, Google, Amazon, wherever. You can find my tech reports at techstination.com. I'm Fred Fishkin along with Alain Kornhauser. Thank you for listening or watching, spending time with us. Please continue to stay safe.
Right, and you know, we have the clocks moving to summertime, and it's almost spring. Woo! Here we go.